Hey, do you need a social media attitude adjustment? Hey, it's Kim. If you're new to my world, my name is Kim Argetsinger, and I'm a success and mindset business coach for solopreneurs, creatives, and dreamers. And every week I hop on live and we jam and talk a little bit more about a topic that I've got over on the blog. So if you want to check that out, there is a link for you. You can check the full blog out. And this week I want to talk a little bit about social media, and particularly around the resistance that I see come up around social media marketing and around the power of social media marketing. So I think most of us probably noticed this week that hashtag #MeToo was coming up. And for those of you who don't know what that is a social media movement that Alyssa Milano started. She asked people who, or suggested to people who have been affected by sexual harassment or by sexual abuse to post who just joined, to post the hashtag #MeToo. This was actually a movement started by a woman named Tarana Burke, but Alyssa Milano posted this, and this created a huge movement. Facebook, I think, said actually 12 million people have had a conversation around this. So it's created a huge movement and flooded our feeds with this hashtag. And I'm not going to talk about that particularly today. I do think it's an incredibly important topic. It's an incredibly important movement, but that is not what I want to dive into today. I really want to talk about what it made me think of, which when I saw this, it made me think about our responsibility as solopreneurs, as entrepreneurs, as creatives, as thought leaders, as people who are sharing their message with the world on social media. It really made me think about our responsibility around this. It also made me think about the power social media has to connect us and to spread and share a message. And that's what I want to dive into today, is that second part, because I think there is a whole lot of resistance that comes up around social media and sharing on social media, particularly when we use it as a social media marketing tool for our businesses or for our creative work. And I know this definitely comes up with my coaching clients. I will share, for those of you who maybe have known me for a while or have been in my world for a while, you probably know that it took me a full year to post anything on social media about my business or my business world or myself. In fact, before I even had a business, I had only ever posted 2 Facebook status updates. I think one was to sell my furniture when I moved from LA to New York, and another was to say thank you for happy birthday wishes. So clearly a lot has changed, and I've worked through that resistance a lot. But I share that to say, I get it. I hear you. I hear the resistance. I definitely get where it's coming from. And so I want to talk about it a little bit. So I think some of this resistance, it can come from a couple different places, but I think sometimes we worry about what people are going to think. We worry that we aren't clear in our message and we're not going to know what to say. We worry about putting ourselves out there and sharing what we actually want to do with the world. And how's our family going to respond? How are our friends going to respond? How are our coworkers going to respond? I think sometimes we can be a little bit judgy of others, and then we worry that people will judge us back if we post ourselves online, which very well could happen. Can't tell you that it won't happen. Hey, who else just joined? Say hello. We're talking about the resistance behind social media marketing and putting ourselves out there, and just visibility, I think, as a whole. I think sometimes we worry that we're going to come across as salesy. We worry that we're going to be icky, or we worry we're going to be one of those people who, again, that we're judging, even though we're watching their work. I think sometimes we worry that if we put ourselves out there and it actually works, and we do actually get some traction or some feedback, what happens then when someone comes to us? That means we're going to have to deliver, and maybe they're going to find out that we're really just a big old fraud. I think we worry about getting likes or getting comments on our work, and when we don't, or if we don't, what that means about us and what that means about our work and what that means about us as a person. I think we think that our work isn't enough. We think we're not enough, and we allow this to become a metric for our personal self-worth. I think we could just go on and on here. I could just spend half an hour talking about what some of these thoughts that come up and the stories we tell ourselves around what putting our message out onto social media means. I think then what happens is we tell ourselves a story, and we either just ignore social media as a platform, as a tool we can use for marketing completely, or we end up kind of giving it a half-assed attempt. And when it doesn't work for us and we don't get the results we want, we use that as evidence to say, see, I told you this wouldn't work for me. I told you this wasn't going to work. It only works for the big people, or it only works for people who are paying for ads. And I'm going to call a little bit of bullshit on that today. And again, I say this with compassion. I say this with love. I have to call bullshit on myself. This is all these things I'm sharing. These are resistances I've come up against and have to continually push through. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking to you today. But I have to call a little bit of bullshit on that, because these are all stories we're telling ourselves and that we are allowing ourselves to believe. And they're ways that we keep ourselves safe and comfortable. They're essentially our brain lying to us so that we can stay safe and comfortable. And so we don't have to risk rejection. We don't have to risk being seen. We don't have to risk any of those fears that we have. But at the end of the day, social media is a tool. That's what it is. It is simply a tool. It's not good. It's not bad. It's how we use it. It's the intention behind it. And it's that emotionality that we have behind it that we attach to it that makes it good or bad. So all of those things we're feeling, those are feelings and an emotion that we are attaching and putting onto social media. But social media itself, again, it is just a tool. And it's a very powerful tool. And it is a tool, like it or hate it, it is here to stay. Social media is not going away. Social media and the digital marketing world, it is growing every day. It's estimated that there are 3 billion people on social media. 3 billion people. I don't even know how to compute that number in my brain. 3 billion people. And we know how much people are on social media. If you think, most of us are probably waking up in the morning, we're reaching for that phone. The first thing we probably do is hop onto social media, which I don't recommend. That is a different discussion. But we are on social media. It is catching up with the amount of time that we are spending on TV. When I walk around in New York City, I see people head down in their phone scrolling social media. If you think about what we were talking about at the beginning, if you think about the power of social media, that message of #MeToo, within just a few days of that being posted, that message started 12 million conversations on Facebook alone. 12 million conversations. So that's speaking to that power of social media to connect us. Because I think what a lot of us aren't realizing or consciously thinking of is the power of social media to act as a connector and to act as a platform to share our message. And if that doesn't resonate because you think, oh, maybe #MeToo is just because it was Alyssa Milano and she's famous, think about maybe one of the last events you attended. Think about the last message you received that maybe helped get you out of a funk, the last tip you got that maybe helped you to solve a problem. There's a good chance that all of those came from social media. This is just speaking to that power of social media again and that reach it can have. I'll say for me personally, social media has helped me to connect with like-minded people. It's helped me to overcome some fears, clearly, because I'm talking about it. It's helped me to connect with you right now, which is incredible and amazing. It's helped me to have access to tools and learning constructs that I wouldn't have had the availability or the resources for. It's helped me to grow my business and to connect with clients who are incredible, and I love them, and they're amazing that they're not in my city, that I would have never had the pleasure and joy of working with otherwise. So I think if we can take the perspective of social media and shift it, we can really look at social media as a tool, and a tool that can allow us to share our message, to extend our reach, to grow our businesses and even our personal lives. And no, social media is not a silver bullet. I'm not going to tell you there is a single platform you should get on and that's going to skyrocket your business and you're going to make $1 million overnight, because that's a bunch of BS, in my opinion. And I don't think social media can create your business for you. Social media can't create your message for you. Social media can't create those relationships for you. But again, it's that tool, it is that platform, it is that tool that can allow you to bridge your message with someone else and to have a much larger reach than you would otherwise. And again, it's a tool. It is our intention. It is our integrity. It is our authenticity. It is the intention behind it. And then again, it's that emotionality we attach to it that makes it either good or makes it bad. So with that, I would love this week to invite you to have a little bit of a perspective shift if you are someone who thinks you might need that attitude adjustment around social media. And I'd really love to invite you to, instead of focusing on the people who are maybe using social media for bad, or maybe who seem icky, or who seem like show-offs, or fill in the blank, any of the things that cause you to feed into that resistance, I'd really love to invite you to instead look to some of the people who you see that are using social media marketing as a way to grow their business through integrity, as a way to grow themselves through integrity, as a way to connect with others, to use that as some evidence that social media very much can be a powerful tool and a tool that can be used for, we'll call it for good, but that can be used in a different way. So I'd love to invite you to do that. And I would also love to invite you to take a look at that story. Take a look at that story you have around social media and any of that resistance, because like everything, it all goes back to mindset, but it also goes, how we do one thing is how we do anything. So whatever that story is that resistance around sharing publicly or around using social media marketing as a tool, there's a very good chance that is showing up somewhere else in your life. So I think having that awareness can be really awesome and powerful. I know it has been for me. So I'd love to invite you to check in with that story, and then just to check in, how might you show up differently if you didn't believe that story? How might you show up differently if you didn't believe that story? So look for some of that evidence and then check in with your story, see where it relates to other parts of your life, and then how might you show up differently? So that is what I have got for you today, all about social media and the power of social media as a tool to use to connect us and to share our message. Next week, I'm going to be back. I'm very excited. I have a special guest over on the blog. I'm going to be talking with Pinterest expert Claire Drake. She's amazing. Pinterest is actually not a social media platform. It's a search engine, but it is part of our digital world and part of our digital marketing world. And it's a platform I do not utilize enough and I don't actually know a whole lot about. So she is sharing some really helpful tips and insights around the platform and how to use it, as well as some of her insights around her business and being an entrepreneur and some of those behind the scenes. So it's a great conversation. I'll have that for you next week. In the meantime, for anyone who's watched to the end, I'd love to hear from you. Did this resonate with you today? Yes or no? Do you think that you might be in need of a bit of a social media attitude adjustment? I'd love to hear from you. And if you have any questions around social media specifically, if you want to pop them below, I'd love to address them in a future live or in a future blog. So definitely let me know those. And then in the meantime, I thank you for watching. Thanks for joining to the end. I am wishing you so much love, and I'm wishing you your version of success.